Not all e-bikes are equal, and while some share a lot of common traits, others stand out for their uniqueness, funky looks, and exceptional performance. And so we come to the Coswheel T20, which is an impressive entry into the e-bike commuter space, and which is a bike that can do a lot more than just commute. This thing makes a pretty good full suspension mountain bike, and can tackle some seriously rough terrain. So if you're looking for a fast city commuter that can also hit the trails on the weekend, and by the way is one of the coolest looking bikes around, stay tuned. And if you're enjoying the content, please consider subscribing, liking the video, and sharing it with friends. When the Coswheel T20 arrived, I was pleasantly surprised with the fit and finish. So the bike is very well packed, extremely snug in there, and you can see everything is well protected. It actually came on a wooden skit and it was strapped to it, and it comes with, not sure what that is, we'll see in a sec, pedals, manual, extra reflectors, a wheel skewer tools, and various nuts and bolts, cap not included. All right, there it is, put together all the way. And we can see batteries in, 7-speed, Shimano. Doesn't say what kind of Shimano, but it's 7-speed with a interesting shifter right here. All right, here's something impressive. This thing has daytime running lights. When I press the light, it turns on the headlight, turns it off, but there's still a running light in front. Pretty cool. Here are a couple of super cool things that you hardly ever see on an e-bike. First, there's a horn. And second, you've got rear turn signals. Let's take a look here. That's pretty cool. All right, go to the middle, turn it off, go the other way. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Okay, that's new. I've never seen that on a e-bike before. In terms of specs, the T20 has an enormous 48-volt, 20-amp-hour battery which has a unique shape and slides into the top tube. The battery can be charged in the bike or pulled out. The hub motor is labeled at 500 watts but feels much stronger once you unlock the full power. Now in many jurisdictions your bike will come with a speed limiter as per your local laws. To turn that off for off-road use only, we will turn on the bike, the screen comes on, then we hit the plus and minus button at the same time and hold. That comes on, all right. Then we put in the code, which is 3288. So you use the plus button to go up to 3, then the information button to go to the next one, 2, information button. You can do the down button for 8, information button, 8, and then information button to go to the next part. Then we will hit the bottom minus button and the information button at the same time and press them together, hold, and we go into this screen. That's the wheel size. We press the information button again. No, we don't. And then we go into the speed. Now, some of you will find that this speed is set at a lower limit. So you can simply use the minus and plus buttons to set it as you will. And on my bike, 63 is, I think, the top speed. Well, now it's saying 60. I don't know. But anyways, that's the speed. So that doesn't mean the bike is going to go 63. Mine tops out at 43, but that's about the right speed it should be going. Okay, and then you confirm it with the I button, and then you simply hold the I button to get back to your regular screen. I wasn't able to bring the limiter back up to 63, but the only way to hit these speeds would be down a steep hill. With the amount of power this bike has, it tops out at 43 km per hour indicated or 42 measured with a GPS on the flat. That makes this one of the fastest e-bikes I've ever tested, slightly faster than most mopeds. It also makes it illegal for public roads in many jurisdictions. Check your own local laws for the details. The T20 has 5 pedal assist modes, each of which is progressively faster, but one of the differences I've found to other e-bikes I've tested before is the fact that the modes are engaged while pedaling or in throttle-only mode. The throttle is a motorcycle-like twist grip, and while in the past, using the throttle only would automatically put bikes in full power mode, on the Coswheel the throttle respects the mode. Whether you pedal or use throttle-only operation, the bike's power adjusts to the mode, with 1 being good for about 18 km per hour and 5 giving you the full 43. You can also turn the power to 0 or turn it off entirely if you want to pedal the bike yourself. As far as pedaling without power goes, if you run out of battery, you can get home, but not fast. This is a heavy bike, 73 pounds, and it has fat wheels with giant 20 by 4 inch tires which are also heavy and do cause considerable rolling resistance. I found I could pedal the bike fine and would be able to get home if the battery ran out of juice, but I'm a long-time cyclist and former racer, so I can pedal pretty hard. Someone smaller or older may not be able to pedal this thing up a hill without battery assist. So the number one question people have is, what's the range? And the eternal answer, as with all electric vehicles, is, it depends. On your weight, the riding surface, wind conditions, probably temperature, and whether you're pedaling or only using the throttle. I weigh about 180 pounds, and with my gear on, that's a bit more. Going full speed in Mode 5, I went 55 kilometers before the battery was down to 1 bar on the display. This ride, however, included a lot of off-roading, which increased rolling resistance considerably and drained the battery faster. I was pedaling, though that only helps when you're going uphill and the bike slows down. It's geared too low to provide additional power near 40 km per hour, and at that speed you just end up spinning your legs without resistance. But up steeper hills you can save some battery by adding leg power. Throttle only, the power would last for less distance. Based on my past experience, if I rode it in mode 2 or 3 and pedaled the whole way, I'm sure that huge 20 amp hour battery would last me for over 100 kilometers or 60 miles. Now this bike is heavy and it has mechanical brakes, which had me worried because mechanical brakes tend to be spongy and not as powerful as hydraulic ones, but I was pleasantly surprised by these. The brakes are mechanical, disc brakes, but mechanical, both front and back. And for these heavier bikes, I do like hydraulic brakes, personally speaking. But first, I found these very easy to set up. Usually, mechanical brakes tend to have a lot of rubbing, and I have to set them up quite a bit. The average person who isn't a bicycle mechanic might have trouble setting them up. But this time around, they just popped right in, a slight adjustment here and there, and everything was good. One surprising thing about this bike, if you're a motorcycle rider, then your front brake is usually right here. But if you're a cyclist, generally bikes put their front brakes on the opposite side and the rear brake over here. But this one actually follows the motorcycle model, with this being the front brake and this being the back one. And unlike most of the mechanical brakes that I see out there, I'm finding that these are actually fairly tight. Like they don't go all the way back to the grip. They're not too mushy. The back one's a little bit more mushy, but the front one is pretty solid, which is the one you want to be solid, obviously. They performed well, were easy to adjust, and had plenty of power. My biggest criticism is that they lacked the linear, progressive feel of hydraulic brakes and squeaked slightly under braking, but they were the best mechanical brakes I've tested to date. Would I prefer hydraulic? Yes, but those come with a higher price tag. As of now, this bike costs about $2,200 US or $2,500 Canadian, which is reasonable for a full suspension mountain bike with this much power. In terms of suspension, you get a fork that isn't adjustable. The fork is unique. Usually a fork comes up to here and then just goes right into the center there and comes up into the handlebar. But this fork comes up here And you can see that there is a bit of a unique structure here. Maybe makes it a little bit more stiff for handling. We'll see how it goes around the corners. And you get a shock that is adjustable. This section here with the shock being in there and the cat being in there too. I don't know what she's doing. You can see that it's shaped very uniquely. And then, of course, it's split up here for this part to come through here and attach to the shock, which seems to be adjustable. Looks like you can tighten it, loosen it up a little bit if you like. The suspension is basic and isn't as sophisticated as the ones on racing mountain bikes, but it works fine and was able to soak up some seriously bumpy off-road terrain. Between the huge tires and the suspension, I was able to roll over beach sand and some seriously rocky ATV trails, which did require hard pedaling on my part on the extremely steep hills. Can we make it with this heavy bike? It's so rocky here. Come on. Come on. Come on. Let's go. Come on, bike. Do it. Almost there. Almost there. Whew. Well, what do you know? Made it. The Coswheel T20 did finally meet its match on an extremely loose surface of beach pebbles. The display is basic but has everything you need. Trip meter, odometer, maximum speed, average speed. The maximum payload is 350 pounds for the rider and all gear, and the seat post adjusts a long way up. For proper pedaling technique and leg extension, the seats should be adjusted high, which I was able to do for my 6 feet or 182 centimeters and 33-inch inseam. However, if you are much taller than I am, you may require a longer post for good leg extension. The seat post is quick release, which makes adjustments handy. The seat itself was just okay, and I was disappointed that it couldn't be tilted forward. This was due to the design of the seat post, which prevented the nose of the seat from being pointed down. I like to tilt my seats forward, but notice that most riders like the nose up position better, so this may be something most people won't notice. Speaking of the post, it actually goes through the battery, so if you want to remove the battery, removal of the post is necessary first. But as I stated earlier, the battery can be charged either in or out of the bike, so you don't have to remove anything for recharging. Overall, I had a lot of fun on this bike. From booting around town to riding on the beach to a long ride in the country and on ATV trails, it was very capable and rolled over all kinds of terrain no problem. That's why a lot of people love fat bike wheels. On pavement, the handling and turn-in were quick and definitely on the sporty side. The wide tires provided good traction when leaned over. It was weird to use turn signals on what is essentially a bicycle, but being a motorcyclist, I got used to it quickly. Coswheel included a handy rear rack on the T20, which is nice for carrying your stuff, but it does partially cover the rear light and would cover it fully with stuff strapped on the rack. Without the rack, this is not an issue, but if the factory is going to install the rack on all bikes, then a relocation of the light would be good. Now, there's a lot to like about this bike, but one thing I don't like is the location of the rear light, because it is located behind the back wheel and behind the luggage rack. So when you're actually looking at it from this angle, you can't see it. Now, on the luggage rack, you see there's a bracket to attach the rear light, and that's really where it should be attached. However, all of my criticisms of this bike are small and easily fixable, as is the last one. When I initially got the bike and went over larger bumps at speed, the chain fell off the front chainring several times. This was happening when I had the bike in the highest gear, which is the smallest sprocket on the cassette, because the small sprocket causes the chain to be more loose. Now, when the chain is falling off, usually what that means is that the chain is too loose. So I took a look at the chain. It was kind of falling off and ending up in between the sprocket and this guard here. And usually what causes that is the chain being a little too loose. It just kind of bounces a little too much when the bike is bouncing on the ground. So what I did is I took out 3 links out of the chain and I replaced them with this master link here that snaps into place in lieu of those 3 links. And so effectively this chain is now 2 links shorter than it used to be. It's much tighter, there's a lot more tension here. And I found that the problem has not repeated itself. I took the bike, jumped it a lot, and everything is fine. The chain's staying on. You can do this yourself with the bike, and hopefully the company addresses that and just takes out a couple of links out of that chain just to tighten it up just a little bit for the rougher terrain. The shifting is fine. I had to adjust the shifting slightly with the little knob right there that adjusts the rear derailleur. But the shifting works great with a chain that's slightly shorter, and there's no more problems with the chain falling off. This is a fix you can do yourself with a chain brake tool and a $5 master link, both of which can be purchased at a local bike shop or online. And there are plenty of videos on YouTube explaining how to do it. After this fix, the chain stayed on through hell and high water. What a difference 2 links can make. So, to sum up, the Coswheel T20 is a very versatile and well-performing e-bike with impressive range and a go-anywhere attitude. It looks unique in a good way and definitely turns some heads. It is faster than most of its competitors and handles well on and off-road, and even has room for a funky bag in the frame. The range is good, and if you do run out of juice, pedaling home is definitely possible. And it is very visible with a lot of motorcycle-like features like a daytime running light, a rear light that lights up when you brake, and turn signals. The horn is pretty cool too. Drawbacks? At 73 pounds it is heavy, so if you carry it on a bike rack, get one specifically designed for hefty e-bikes. The brakes are very good for mechanical ones, but still not as good as hydraulic. On a bike with a rack, the rear lights should be on the back of the rack for maximum visibility. The chain should be 2 links shorter, and the bike needs a better seat post, which would allow more room to tilt the seat. Hopefully, Coswheel makes these small tweaks to make this bike even better. I'm continuously amazed at the development and improvements of these e-bikes, and the T20 definitely incorporates a lot of motorcycle design features. The Moped is back, Moped being a motorized pedal bike, but now in quiet and clean electric form. Cheap to charge and with plenty of range, the Coswheel T20 is a great vehicle for the city commuter who likes to go for longer recreational rides and occasionally hit the trails. It's reasonably priced, and because it isn't gas-powered, can be kept safe inside an apartment. And of course, this bike can be ridden without a motorcycle license despite almost being a motorcycle. Nice loophole. Spring is almost here, and I enjoyed my pre-spring ride on the T20 in unseasonably warm weather. It's so nice to feel the wind on your face and at the same time travel quietly on the roads and trails. Do I recommend the Coswheel T20? Yup, nice bike. It embodies the spirit of getting out the door and being able to explore new places no matter the terrain. And it can be a gateway to the world of motorcycling for many people who may be intimidated by motorcycles. This stuff is not as hard as it looks. Maybe someone will get the T20, then step up to a Grom, and before you know it, they're riding their Goldwing from coast to coast. Anything that encourages two-wheel transit is a good thing. Or just ride the T20 and have fun. It's hard not to have fun on this thing. So, do you have someone in your family who might enjoy this style and ride? Would you get one? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Ride safe, and may the spokes be with you.